Welcome everybody, it's your boy, the Versace Stoner, with another episode of VSW.
These sons will beat you.
That's right, folks. Big news flash. Oh my God! VSW.
Brass hats know what time it is. Get up off of your seats and bow down to the king.
One of the greatest in this game and one of my favorite all-time people in this game. The Versace Stoner.
It's places like this. I started in a mill. I'm here still in a mill. I consider myself a mill wrestler.
Everybody, it's your boy, the Versace Stoner, with another great episode of VSW Podcast. Hats off. We gotta do a dab. But, we've been talking a lot about Kill City Cup. We've had some of the great superstars on there. Mason X. The Technical Alchemist. We've had some, a lot of hype with it. And we got a very special guest coming on today. Really close. We tried to get to the heart of Kill Corp, that heart of it. And we've come pretty close with who we're bringing on today. She is someone that, is just wasn't in it, but very much part of it. Put it that way. Haven't figured out yet? That's okay. She is Kill City's queen. That's right. Queen Gia will be coming here on the VSW Podcast today to talk Kill City Cup and more. We got some questions. We had some fans, write to us saying, what they wanted, what they didn't want, what they wanted to know. And we're very excited for that. And I have a few questions of my own for the Queen. And like I said, just very exciting time right now. If you haven't watched Kill City Cup, by the way, you're like, what's this guy even babbling about? Check it out. I'm going to put it in the link to this. It's a free wrestling / horror / combat movie. It's one of a kind. You can check out my review of it. There's a lot of other places that have done reviews, even bigger channels than me. A lot of notable people in it, and it's picking up a lot of steam. So I definitely suggest checking out. It is on YouTube. It is free. So I am gonna put, like I said, the link to that video though. Its whole cup in its entirety. It is the whole cup. Right in the description of this interview with Queen Gia, and this way you can check that out. Like I said, if you don't know who I'm talking, what I'm talking about, or anything else that's going on. And she should be on shortly, hopefully. I sent the invite, and just arriving in. Probably laying out the red carpet now, getting in from Kill City. Sometimes getting these, people in and out, very hard to do, especially, with all the regulations in Kill City. I'm also going to be, later, not today, but later on in the week, and in the coming weeks, we're going to have some more Kill City Cup interviews coming on too. We have April Hunter, and we are also bringing Mason X back, and this will be more of a this will be a video, obviously, but we're going to really dig deep into that story of why he was in that cup. And here we go right now.
There we go.
And here we are.
And there I
Thank you
am.
for coming. Thank you, Your
Let
Highness.
me make sure I can hear you. I am not hearing you there. I think I should be able to hear you now.
How are we doing?
Perfect.
Great. Thank you, Your
Finally
Highness.
getting the hang of the Zooms.
Thank you, Your Highness, for coming on the show. I know it's hard getting away from Kill City for a little bit. A lot of work to be done as a queen. We really, really thank you for that.
It's your honor to have me.
So, quickly, we'll do it real quick. First off, we'll just go briefly. What got you into the wrestling world? What brought you into wanting to even be part of such a thing? We'll go into, what got you into Kill City after. I got a list of questions. It's been fun, but I kind of like to know a little bit about the wrestling background. What got you into that growing up?
Well, actually, we're gonna get a little X-rated for this question because I got into wrestling from fetish work. So working as a fetish model, so making fetish content, I was hired to do fetish wrestling scenes, a few matches, and then I was told about a website called Session Girls. And then I was wrestling people for money. And I liked doing it. I was having fun doing it. The fans could see that I was really enjoying myself. And it was something that I took to the point where I wanted to do more. Like I could see this being something that I could have always wanted to do. But when I originally wanted to do something, it was to be a ballerina. And that was not in the cards for me. My feet are too small or didn't get into it young enough. So this is kind of like on stage, performative, movement, training. And I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense why I've gotten so much into this. It really
A lot of it, with the
off a lot of
choreography and
marks
everything,
for me.
it's an art form. It's another way to, put yourself out there, and just be yourself, whether it is through, music, fighting, whatever it is, it's a great way just to do it. That's great though. And I've seen some of those websites. I've seen them going through just like, 'cause I watch a lot of wrestling, so I see a lot of promotions, and a lot of them will be like, you can make your own matches. You can kind of like customize, which fighters you want. And granted, it is a fetish site, but I mean, it is also, there is pro wrestling involved in it, and the match quality. Whatever I saw. I'll be honest. I checked out
The
like
difference
the
is
demos.
honestly the audience that it's catered to, because a wrestling match is a wrestling match until
Yeah.
it's completely nude, and then it's like, oh, okay, now we're crossing borders.
Yeah, the one that I watched wasn't completely nude. It was in just skimpy outfits, but it was like kind of chill. And they showed like a demo, and then like from that demo, they were like, you could customize your match. You could say who wins. You could get, you could just basically run.
Yeah, you're in
be
the
the
front
booker.
seat. Like, how would you tell? How would it go? Like, if you told the story.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I was just, from a wrestling fan's point of view, I was about to just jump into it, but I was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to handle my storyline. I'm going to give them some kind of like 10 year down the line WWE plot.
Oh yeah, they're not really down for extensive lines.
They're
want
gonna
the
not, they're not looking
like,
for
what's my demeanor and what are my points? Like, what am I supposed to say? But if you give them like story
I
for
would be
story
naming
dialogue,
moves,
no.
Yeah,
We'll
it
need time to
wouldn't be
prepare for
catered
that.
to me. But so you moved on to that, and you got into the great world of wrestling, and it is a great world. I have to say that with all the negativity that that can be in it, it is a salvation to so many. It brings hope to others. It brings it breaks people out of their reality. Gets them into a better mindset. All different things. So you got into that now, and then you worked your way into. Well, I've seen you work your way into Kill City. Were you wrestling or fighting anywhere prior to that?
Luke actually had set me up with sort of a match at the Van Dyke tribute show. And like, I didn't really wrestle. I got to the point where I showed up, I did my walk in, I did a locked up, and then I was out. And there was another show that I did for him in Maine. And that one I did a bit more wrestling. I actually got him up on my shoulders. I tossed him. I gave him a pedigree. I slapped him. So that's probably the most wrestling I've done in the ring in front of a crowd in nowhere, Clinton, Maine.
So then from nowhere, Clinton, Maine, because almost anywhere in Maine can be considered nowhere, unless you're from there.
Besides what,
Unless you're
Portland?
from there. I mean, I'm from Mass, but I always go to Maine just because it has great wrestling. I'm a big fan of Limitless. There's a lot of
There's
shows
a lot.
out there. Larry Huntley puts on a lot of great shows as well. And then I also obviously go out there for the weed. The weed is so cheaper than Mass, and it's much more
I tell everyone it's the
better
best.
quality.
Like better than Denver. I've been to Denver, I've been to Vegas, I've been to LA, and I tell everyone you gotta get it in Maine. Everyone's not telling you that the best shit is in Maine with the best prices, but we just
And it's crazy. I go to
Wow.
Lewiston, which is I guess considered like the dirtiest part of Maine. Like people shun me when I say I'm going to Lewiston, but I'll drive there just to go to the dispensaries. All like 20 of them that are on the same street, just because they do have great deals and great products. I enjoy it. But so now you were out in Maine, and then all of a sudden, how did you meet Mr. Kill? How did he get you to join his forces and join Kill City?
We're talking Kill City lore and not actually how I know Brian.
I'm
As far
talking,
as
how
that
did you
story,
become the
I don't
queen
know
of
if it's
Kill City?
open to me to create the character. I'm thinking like it seems kind of obvious that the queen character has some kind of sorcery, some kind of magic. Maybe she struck up some kind of deal with Mr. Kill. Maybe she's waiting for the right moment to usurp him. Maybe she needs something out of this tournament. I'm not writing her. So, I mean, if it were given to me, I'm definitely open to putting in more input. But this is what I get from playing the character
But
and
these are the vibes that just coming to you
watching Kill
naturally.
City Cup for like the 15th time as I introduce it to all my friends. Look, I'm famous.
Yeah. No, and it's becoming that way, and it's great just to see it kind of get out there. I kind of, got onto it by seeing, I started seeing like little blips and blurps on social. And I'm like, it was at a time that I was honestly at an all-time kind of low, and I wasn't really like paying attention to the wrestling scene. So I was just, one day I was just like, oh, what's this? This is something different. I started to watch it more. And then I started to see the plays and all. And, I kind of know Luke, just from watching him wrestle. And so I was like, hey, what's all this about? And he started showing me the links, and I was like, I fell in love with it. I mean, it is something so different that is, something so different that's not right out there. Yes, it's pro wrestling, but it's also much more than that. There is a lot of depth that can be brought into it. As you said, as people are gonna dive into it like they're doing anything else, they're gonna want all these backstories. They're gonna want all this, connected dots. Where did this one come in? How did this one make it to here? Who is that? There's so much diversity in it. There's so much that can go anywhere. There's such just a great project to even like talk about. I talk to all my friends about it, wrestling fans, horror fans, movie fans. It's on
touches on
IMDb.
so many genres, and I like to tell people about it, especially those that don't necessarily like pro wrestling or ever think that they could get into pro wrestling. I tell them, watch this, because it's not that it is pro wrestling, but it's also horror, it's also campy, it's also it's funny, it's post-apocalyptic, it's fantastical. Like there's so many elements in play, and it's not overwhelming. It seems to like dance with each other perfectly.
It does, and they put it in a perfect time frame. It's not too long. Where some movies, or some wrestling shows can drag on. It's like, really? It was just the perfect length. The matches were just went really boom, 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 and everything was just kind of, it just made sense. And it was just that perfect length that keeps your attention to watch the whole thing and be like, wow. Well, some wrestling shows, you'll watch, it might be, a couple hours long, which is great for whatever it is. They have to obviously tell longer stories, but in that time period, you might get up, you might go over there, you might change the channel, you might do something else. Within Kill City Cup, you're sitting there kind of glued to it as you would, a blockbuster film because you do get invested in these characters that come out. You do get invested kind of in this plot. Oh, is this one going to make it? Oh, wow, I really like this character. It has that kind of choose your fighter feel. It has that kind of Mortal Kombat feel to it, which is something that's really different out there. I'll be honest, the pandemic was a terrible time. Obviously, wrestling stopped. At least up here, there was no wrestling. But what we did get out of it was, that started to come out of it in 21 was tapings and a lot of cinematic tapings and a lot of different ideas were able to flourish from that. I saw one that was pretty cool that had like classical music and pro wrestling just blended. No commentary, no nothing, just wrestling and music. So from that, I started to like see all these cool ideas. And this movie here kind of brought me back to that era of like, wow, just using what we got, just making it creative. Don't need no fans, but let's just make it a show.
Mm-hmm.
I did get one couple questions here. Somebody asked, did you wish you fought in the tournament?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Did you wish you fought in the tournament?
I want to be more comfortable with my pro wrestling abilities before I start doing anything in the ring. I have done a little bit in the ring, but not a whole lot. So I want to, and I think that they want to see me in the ring.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do want to see you in the ring.
Like slithering around like the Russian Crush, like it's not gonna happen.
No, and that's the thing. We've seen a lot of like king characters, throughout wrestling history. Just you get Macho King, all these different kings. You don't see many just straight up queens come into the ring and step in, and especially you with such it's like I said, it's a deep character because it's very mysterious. We don't know too much about you. You sit on the throne. You're next to Mr. Kill. People are asking me if you guys are lovers or like just you're just sitting there waiting for him to die so you can take over Kill City. People are actually
There's
asking
a lot of
me
ways
these like live.
it can go, and that's why I'm excited about what has been put out there because we can see what the fans are really reacting to and build some more story off of that. I think we've set a good foundation to do a lot more.
It did. It opened it up, and I think it opened up also just a lot of people's creativity. Because there is so many directions this to go. You got artists that just want to draw characters. You got people that have all these backstory plots and ideas that are like just throwing ideas. I'm sure Luke's like emails are just like flooded with just Kill City Cup right now because it is catching steam. It's getting bigger on YouTube. More people are seeing it. A lot of people, last Friday, I think it was last Friday, we all tried to push as much as we can with the hashtag Kill City Cup and just get that word out there because there is people that don't get to see it. And sometimes the algorithms on social media aren't the best. People don't get to see every post you post. So if a lot of people are doing it, then it's going to get out there. And, so a lot of people, it is picking up steam and it's great to see that because you are getting all these creative ideas and, just like any other movie or any other thing, you get all these people kind of sidewinding and making, fandom out of it. And it's becoming that. There's already a fandom for Kill City Cup, which is great because it's a short period of time.
Perfect.
Let me ask you this though. How was it? I know Luke obviously from the wrestling world and all. How was it working for him as like him being the director?
Luke and I were friends before he approached me with the project.
Yeah.
I think we met like in 2017 and then we shot it in 2020. So we were friends for a bit and we would talk and toss the idea around. He's like, I've been thinking about this for like 10 years and I want to do it like this. And I'm like, that sounds cool. I love it. And more than anything, he loves the outfit. He's like, that outfit's cool. That really looks like a character that would be in Kill City Cup. Like, would you be into that? I'm like, well, yeah, I love performing. So put me in, coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity. Because I said, like, and you kind of said, for the people that like want to wrestle and kind of just, they want to wrestle, but either it's A, age, B, time restraints or other things. This is kind of like that kind of where you can play a role. You can wrestle, but you don't have to perform at a high impact level. It is kind of cinematic. It is being taped. there is more editing involved. It's not in front of a live crowd. There is kind of a less of, let's say, just that pressure of, hundreds of 200 screaming fans going, well, you screwed that up. Well, at least this way, if something happens, well, you can honestly, at the end of the day, just hit cut, edit. There's buttons for that. But again, like someone like me, I wanted, I was into pro wrestling all my life. When I grew up, it was Hulk Hogan's era. He was running wild, and you had all these larger than life characters. And when I graduated high school, I wanted to get into it. I lived, about maybe 40 minutes from Killer Kowalski's school. And I walked in there, and it was awesome in there. It looked great. And the guy looked at me, and he was like, "Look, I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's just not going to work. You're too small. You're 5'8". It's not going to happen. I'm not going to take your money because you're not going to go anywhere at 5'8". This was back in like 2001, 2002, and at that time, it was all about the big man. It was all about the bigger guy in wrestling. Fast forward now. It really doesn't matter about the size. It matters more about, that character, that style. Can you impress? Can you get the crowd to, want to see you? It's more about that. It's more, more in depth than just,
it became more about the character and being able to perform. Then it was you've got the look, but then you're pigeonholing yourself to the look. And then when is the look very often combined with the talent as well?
And
like,
and I look at
talent, then you could sell anything.
Exactly, and especially on the indie scene, like I'll see especially a lot of kids that are just starting or just students. They might not have that look yet because they're still they're still working on their body. They're still trying to gain mass. They still don't know what how big do they want to get.
Yeah, they probably just lack the education and something that they could be picked up.
Yeah,
they
but
could work on performance, that aspect while they're training the body.
Yeah, and their mic skill and in-ring skill is fantastic. So I get hooked on because of that, not so much, the looks. And that's just the difference, I've seen so far in pro wrestling at this point that, it kind of is more for everybody. There is a role kind of, if you want to take it serious, if you want to go to the school, if you want to train, you can get into it at almost any age. Now you're seeing guys wrestling in their 50s, on the indie circuit.
Yeah.
Never mind professionally. So it's, it's just
there's
great
people
to
over
see
their 50s. I know a guy that's blind that's wrestling right now.
That's amazing. It's much more just for everybody, and it's great to see that. Today we can have, dominant queens of wrestling. We can have that. We, years in the 80s, it wasn't like that. The females were there, but they really weren't. They weren't part of the show. They were just there to, I don't know what they brought them in for, to be honest, on some shows. And then, we had the 90s flourish, with women's wrestling, but it became all sexual. And then, that's kind of where the fetishism kind of spouted from. Because you had, the teasers on, Monday Night Raw, but you didn't get the full thing. Obviously, it's television, but some people wanted more than that, and you had all this stuff.
It was enough for them to want more. The implication was enough.
Well,
but
yeah,
I mean,
and
honestly, they can wear anything as long as there's women there. They're gonna want to see more.
Exactly, and WWE pushed their limits in the late '90s as far as they possibly could, and so did a lot of other promotions. You had on XPW, they were just straight up running like porn, and other places, and then wrestling kind of cleaned itself up a little bit, and it changed its image. But you still have that kind of underbelly there that like you said, there is still that demo, that market. But women's wrestling as a whole has gotten so much more better, so much more, not even just entertaining, just so much more prevalent. It's much, you got women's champions, you get these superstar women, they're just as big as the men, they're just as important, they have just as much merch out there, just as much figures, just as much clout. The kids are lined up just as much to see them now. It's great to see.
It really is.
And even in Kill City Cup, I mean, look at that. Out of all that, it was the Russian Crush that won.
Yeah, the Mr. Kill did not want that.
No, I mean, let's talk about
his safeguards in place.
I mean, let's talk about that for a second. I mean, obviously there was some, backstabbing there. Mr. Kill, he had this, said one thing, but you saw what he said to Leon. And things kind of backfired from there. Was there a specific reason for this, or did you not get really notified of it?
I guess I'm thinking that Mr. Kill had a bunch of, things in place in case things didn't go, and he was playing his hand and making things that he was going to do what he said he was going to do. He struck some deal with Russian Crush, and he doesn't want to give her what she wants. She wants peace, and Mr. Kill doesn't want peace. He wants money and chaos. So there's no way that he's gonna let Russian Crush out what she wants.
Well, I mean, everybody knows there's no money in peace. The money's in war. I mean, that's why
the money's in war. There's a reason that Mr. Kill's on top of everything. Well, how is it that it starts? He's got the world by the balls.
Yeah, well, he really does. He really does. But it was just surprised to see her take out, the beast. I was really surprised on that because, the machine there, he was just, built so well and just, just on point, just perfection. You saw him. I mean, Mr. Kill said it best. He was slicing through people like butter, and that's what he was doing. He was just destroying. He I have to say, Mr. Kill has some of the greatest one-lines out there. I've been kind of like putting out GIFs of it, and just rewatching it and just
hell yeah, thank
frame
you.
by frame. He just, I don't know how you stood and did it and just didn't laugh most of the time. But yeah,
I'm surprised that we all kept it together. I saw that, and every time it comes up, I laugh. Especially when he says that he hates B movies.
He's like, I hate B movies, and then you get the nice close up in his face, and it's just
I chuckle every time.
But yeah, and that is great though. It's just a great cast of characters that do make this film. Oh, this is my son. He's here today too.
Hello.
Say hi to Queen Gia.
Hi.
He's even watched Kill City Cup. He's a pro wrestling fan now.
Awesome. And, I want to show it to my niece and the nephew.
Yes, he just turned 5, so I'm like, he can watch some wrestling now. Granted, Kill City Cup is a little bit more hardcore than most, but I figure he plays.
It's got a few swears and then a little bit of blood, but
he plays video games, so I mean, it can't be any.
Yeah, that's the way I thought about it. I'm like, I was playing Killer Instinct when I was 7, and that had lots of blood in it.
It did, yeah. And speaking of that, somebody actually, another fan, hit me up and was like, "Who's your favorite fighting character if you had it like in a game?"
I think to play probably Lily Rochefort from Tekken, like the Tekken 6 Dark Resurrection and on. She's been in the games. My personal favorite character would be Orchid or B Orchid from Killer Instinct.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, me, I'm a big Mortal Kombat fan. I see that they're coming out with a new one. Also, I'm a Street Fighter fan, though, and they're coming out with a new one of those. Tekken was always, for me, honestly, as a kid growing up, it always was just more technical for me, just the buttons. So I always
I like how the top are the punches and the bottoms are the kicks. And I end up playing like this instead of like with my thumb and
it was a total
I don't have to focus on these buttons up here. And I'm not a big fan of those.
So I didn't get to play it as much as I liked because I just had trouble grasping that all the other fighting games were just so much differently buttoned. But, what I did play, the graphics of it is fun. And people just, the ones that do play it, they loved it and they stuck with it, all these even years later. So it is a great fighting game. And, that's what, this kind of, whole Kill City Cup does kind of remind me of a fighting game. Times like, I mean, I've heard now the game Twisted Metal being thrown out there, and it does have that kind of feel to it too. Where, you got one winner fighting for it all.
Exactly. It definitely has Mortal Kombat feel to it. I like to say that it's more Killer Instinct, but people don't know Killer Instinct as much as they know Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, Russian Crush is Rip Torn. She's like the reptile that spits the venom. And then we have the Bones character, and there's literally a skeleton character in Killer Instinct. And then there's a Pool Gore character that's a cyborg, and that's Brian Cage. Like, that's 3 characters right there.
It is, and it really is, and and everybody's character is just brought such brought to life in just such a great way. I've had some of the fighters on. I've had the Alchemist on. He was great. He has this like doctor character, and I've had Mason X on. The Madman, and he
I worked
he
with
did
him in the show in Clinton, Maine. So he was one of my monsters. So when they like sufficiently beat up the other guys, then they let me go in and get like a few hits.
Yeah, he's he has some really nice like just the horror stuff and his creativity is just like I said, just really some nice masks. I was browsing his store the other day, looking at some of his custom pieces. Just totally nice.
Really into the mask creating.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And it's just great, like I said, to see kind of all these characters brought together because they all bring, this creative quality to, the Kill City Cup. They've all brought in this personality. They're all throwing ideas. Luke's very open into working with a lot of, the ideas. So that makes it easy too. And, you can kind of see everybody getting there, kind of saying how they want to see their character kind of proceed. And they, everybody's taking feedback. It's very a positive environment. I wasn't obviously in the locker room, but I could just imagine the locker room being very positive at the time and just everybody kind of just, having a good time. It wasn't this, kind of just, people kind of just like,
that was not the vibe. Like it wasn't dread and can we be done with this? Like, people were excited about the set, the way it looked, applying prosthetics. They were doing some stuff that they don't usually get to do.
Yeah, and I think that's just cool. That's just been like the consensus. Everybody just really enjoyed this project. They were just waiting and hoping for more. They, I know Luke is cooking something up. We just all hope. I mean, I could just imagine why wouldn't you want to after something that's such as great. But it takes time for people to realize how great this one is and just let this grab its full kind of audience attention. I don't think it's really gotten its potential yet. I think a lot more people need to see this video. I think a lot more people need to see all the characters and get to know everybody. And that's why I like doing these interviews. That's why I like bringing you on and bringing other things on and doing reviews of the show and letting my son even see the show. And I let my wife see the show. She's not a big fan of wrestling, but she's a fan of Brian Cage. And I lured her in by saying that Brian Cage was in it, and well, she just loved it. And
he just destroyed it.
Watch it like 10 times. You want to see
Brian Cage just go wild. Just watch Kill City Cup.
And he's such a nice guy. He really is. I've met him a few times. At a few different shows. One in Jersey, and then where was the XPW Rebirth show. And my wife's even like messaged him, and he's like responded to it. It's really kind of cool. He's really just a down to earth, nice guy. And he's kind of she follows him on Instagram. She's big into like the family life and all that, so she gets to read all the like behind the scenes stuff about him. Where I'm just like I see him on TV. I'm like, oh, the wrestler, cool. I try not to let the like ruin the kayfabe for myself and like go into their personal lives. But like she's like all behind the scenes and stuff, and I'm just okay. But yeah, he was one of those people just like I've always just respected just because he is just generally a nice person. But seeing him in that and having him in there and just other known names, great superstars all working together, it's just really, like I said, an impressive cast for such a movie. And like I said, it really can go anywhere now.
It really did come together beautifully. Just the amount of talent and how everyone contributed to put together such a fun and unique project. And I can't wait to do more.
I really, really can't wait either, just like I said. But I do realize, like I said, it takes time. It kind of takes a little bit of an getting everybody, kind of like I said, where the point is, what you want to go. And I can see this, you don't want to rush this. It's not something you want to rush just because there is a lot of depth into it. And
right now it's just a huge marketing push, getting on shows like yours, spreading the word, letting people know that this exists and that it's really worth their time. This is something that people haven't seen. It's a combination of all kinds of genres, and there's something in there that you'll enjoy. All ages.
Well, that's great. And we're here at the VSW. We're going to keep pushing this show. We love it. And we can't thank you enough for coming on again. We really appreciate it. And answering all these questions.
For having me.
Thank you. And like I said, if people haven't watched the show, we are going to post the link to Kill City Cup so everybody can see its glory. But thank you again, Queen. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the Kill